I am back. I was waiting on parts and they're in, and I realized I didn't order 2 of the parts. I still need to get 2 more of these rods. But I think I'm down to like 4 or 5 parts that I'm missing. This should make a lot of headway here. Okay, now I'm going to figure out how I can operate a knife one-handed. Kids, don't try this at home. Let's see. Maybe I should cut first and open on camera. I'll be back. There we go. Okay, here we are. This is from trains.com. Okay, wow, nice packaging. They have, wow, that is pretty. Nice coupler, nice bit for the front pilot truck, and a bell. Awesome. Now to open the other box. Here we go. In the other box we have, oh wow, let's see. We have a sand dome and a steam dome. Awesome. That is what I needed. Let's see where those guys go. I'll set this loosely down here. So this one goes in the front. This one goes in the back. And they appear to fit. I am going to go over them with my patented cleaner. These don't have overpaint, but the process that I use uses a little bit of wax that should hopefully bring the color closer. Excellent, looking more train-like. Okay, now the domes I got off of eBay. They also had a cow catcher that I should have bid on, but I was away from my desk and missed it. But hopefully another one comes up. Yeah. Oh, I halfway cut this off. Cut this open. Let's see if I can get this to work one-handed. There we go. And what should be the easiest one to come out came out. Okay, this guy here goes on the front truck, which is in here. This is going to be part of that. This goes on the front, the fire plate, which is this part over here. And the bell, of course, is going to go on the bell hanger, which I have put down somewhere and don't see at the moment. Where did it go? Here's the pattern for the bell hanger. Where could it be? Okay, I'm going to do a search for my desktop and find that bell hanger. I found the bell. You never guess where it was hiding. The bell stand was hiding on the smoke box exactly where it should be. There it is. Ringy dingy. In place. Awesome. Now I'm going to put this on the plate. Is this the front plate? Fire plate? I forget what it's called. But I'm going to put the coupler on that. I have no idea if it's adjusted properly. But there it is. And it works like this. Goes up and pulls the pin out. And it drops back in. There it goes. Right on there. Okay. Well, I've raided the little box of extra screws there again. And there we have it. Cleaned up. Just a little bit of wax on them. And good to go. Ready for another 100 years. Things I still need. I need a cow catcher. I need the axles for the front and rear trucks. That's 4 of those axles, which are the bigger kind. That size right there. And I need 2 of the 19+ inch rods. These guys, the AX rods. And I need the little bit that goes right in the little box that goes right in the center of the pilot truck up there. And then I need the KU, I believe it is, ash pan that goes underneath the firebox. And then the DT, the little brass DT pieces, the ones that go down the length of the boiler. I think I need 6 of those. 2 in the silver and 4 in the black. So that's what I'm still in the hunt for. Another day, another package. It's not from Bamboo Labs. I'm going to open it and see what we have. Here's what we have. We have this guy, which goes on the pilot frame, I think. We have some of the big axles. And I realized that I ordered the wrong covers. Ordered the big ones when what I needed was a small one to go right there. And I got the big ones. Oh well. The goal is now to turn that into that. One thing I'm noticing that's conspicuous in its absence is this piece here. Where the heck does that go? I thought it went right there, but I don't see it. See, it's definitely showing the one with the holes in it there. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe I didn't need this piece. We'll find out. Catch you in a sec. Well, here's something interesting. Apparently, this piece changed at some point, because these holes are smaller than the center hole or standard holes. See that? And that piece actually has holes all around. Let's see. Show up over here. Yeah, right there. See, it's got holes all the way around it. But this piece, which was sold as being for this train, does not have holes all the way around it. In fact, it only has those 3 holes. Huh. I may have to adapt this piece. And poof, like magic, it's the right piece. Thanks to my hole punch. Yeah, we're not going to fuss around with the right piece for that. If we ever find it, we'll replace it. But for right now, this will do. Here we go. One front truck. And yes, the red part sticks out where you can see it. It's kind of weird. Looks a little too narrow, but it actually isn't. It goes under there. I'm just going to kind of place it there just for now, just to see what it looks like. Place it under there. There we go. Something like that. That's a little too far back. Right in there. There we go. Now we're getting an idea what it looks like. That's the front truck. Now let's see what I have for the back truck. Still don't have that KU piece, but I can kind of put a few things together. Well, I've discovered something interesting about that piece right there, which is that piece right there. And that is, that axle doesn't actually go all the way through. The axle's shorter than the space across it. Just barely. Not sure how that works. Maybe this thing's bent a little or something? I don't know. Let's fiddle around with it. Well, there doesn't seem to be any denying it. That dimension there is exactly the same as the axle, which means the axle doesn't actually sit in it. Same on both of them. So how is that supposed to work? Here's my brilliant idea. I'm switching from that kind of joint to that one, where it's actually on the outside. So that makes me lose the thickness of the metal on both sides. And then we should have just enough to hold the wheel axle in. Look at that. I don't think that's the way it was done. It's not the way it was shown. But maybe it has something to do with these pieces being different than those pieces in the drawing. Don't know. Well, that seems to have worked. I mean, it's not the way it's shown in the plans, but the plans themselves show different parts and what was actually on this. So this is what I ended up with. It rolls. Seems to work. So I'm going to go with that. Just to kind of position it where it goes. Goes back here, like that. We're still missing the KU part, and I have no idea how this attaches to anything, because they sure don't show you any way it attaches. It's just kind of there. So, who knows? There's a screw right there. Does it attach to that? Maybe. Not like they tell me anything, and I don't even see that on this. Okay, that's the end of the ash pan. That's that part right there. So maybe the screw goes from there through that hole down there, maybe. That's probably the way I want to end up doing it, whether it's right or not. Okay. Another part to put away. Okay, oh, and the other thing I got were some more of these guys. Really long rods. These are the ones that go on top of the boiler and down the length of the train. Those are these that go through the DTs. I've been told that they help reinforce the boiler and keep it straight. So they are not just varnish, they are structural to some degree. And so I need 6 DTs. Those little couplers with the solid rounded end. Okay. On that note, I want to call it a night right here. Still have to do this part next. But I've got that all together. Still missing a cow catcher, 6 DTs, and a KU ash pan to go underneath the firebox. So that's where I am. I'm going to pick back up on disassembly of this guy. Probably start from the front and work back, I guess. See what happens. This seems like a good spot to stop on this section and start cleaning. If I get into that, that's going to get really complicated really fast. So I think I will clean this up and then reassemble this as much as possible, and then treat that as the next assembly. Well, here it is cleaned up. You can see that these guys are kind of rusty. So I'm thinking I want to use these, put together with these, and then I'll take the best out of these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and use those on the back. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to reassemble this section though. That's that assembly, loosely put back together. You can see I swapped out these guys for the better ones. And then we're going to look at these 2 and choose the best of all of them, the next best 2 to go right there. Still moving on. It looks like the best course of action is to unscrew these guys from there in order to do it. And you see there's a little washer in there. There's a nut. There's no nut on the back side where it comes through. It just threads in the wheel. then there's a nut, then there's a washer, then there's this connecting rod that runs the length, then there's another washer, then there's is that the piston rod? The rod that goes up to the piston, I think. And then there's another washer. Then there's this collar. Actually, that collar is part of this piece. That's one of those T-shaped offset collar pieces. And then you have this bolt going through it. So that's the assembly. Same on the other side. Okay, just a little bit of clarification. We have the nut goes against the wheel. Then you have a washer. Then you have the connecting rod that runs between all three wheels, and another washer. And then you have the connecting rod that goes to the slide on the piston, then another washer, and then you have this little guy, this eccentric collar thing, and then you have the bolt. That's the order. Okay, so I am holding off taking that apart because there are a lot of frozen up, painted up screws there. And I'm taking the wheels off. And I was noticing this one here. See how the wheels are like 90 degrees out of phase? The screws are. See that? So that wheel is in that orientation. And that wheel is in that orientation. Just noting that for future reference. Coming apart here. I have the screws in the right position. One of the wheels was missing a screw, which is why we don't have one lined up with that one there. But that's what we have. I'm going to go to raid my box for spares to make up that one. And also, one of these wheels, this one right here, is missing its set screw. So, raid the spares. Okay, I raided my spares. Or the screw for the connecting rod, but also this wheel that was missing its set screw, and discovered that the set screws on this are the larger size, not the little tiny set screws that you sometimes see on collars and things. So, just letting you know. I've cleaned up the wheels and the connecting rods, much brighter than they were. Screws are a little crustier than I would prefer, but they're okay. They seem to work. And now I'm going to clean up this guy so that I can put all of this back together on the chassis, and then I will tackle the valve gear and piston rods. So I've cleaned up the chassis here. It did not really have much paint on it, or added paint on it, but you can see the original paint that has that same pattern we noticed in a couple of other protected spots. Places where it was bolted together, it stayed pretty good, but then there's just like crazing stuff. Well, actually that goes under where it was bolted there, I guess, but yeah, there's like this crazing and there's some bubbling in there, so yeah. Original paint, lovely. There are the wheels. Let's see if we can put it all together. Anybody remember how to do that? Okay, I have my rolling chassis together again. You can see how they're slightly out of phase. Kind of neat. I don't know if it's far enough out of phase, is the only thing. How far out of phase is that supposed to be? I should probably check. Then I'll have that to do next. Let's check on that. How far you put these out of phase. Okay, a little bit of Googling, and I found out that the wheels should be 90 degrees out of phase, which means when these are straight up, when the connecting rod is straight up, this should be in the horizontal position. And the idea behind that is to make it to where you'll never end up on top dead center on both pistons. As you remember, it's a dual acting piston, it's powered both ways. So every revolution the wheels go around, the piston has had 2 power strokes. So to keep them out of phase, so you have half a revolution per power stroke. So to get them out of phase with each other, so you never get one on top dead center, or never get both on top dead center, you have to have it 90 degrees. That's a quarter of a turn out of phase. So that's what's going on. There we go. Kind of cool, coming together. This is going to be the next and probably final subassembly, unless I break it up into left and right or something. It's the valve structure. Probably going to do one side and then the other, just because it's so complicated. I don't want to lose track of where everything goes. And let's see. These here go together. These actually fit on the longer pins here and here. And there's a washer between each. There's those two washers there. Washers between each. Okay. There's also a washer on the back side of that. Each one. So that's going to be next, but I'm going to leave that till probably tomorrow.